you can make a lot of money and still be poor. So there's a lot of people who are millionaires, but they're broke. If you can understand, it's nice to see young people coming up and because, you know, people say, I like what you said, and a lot of people don't like what I say. So, thank you. The subject today is a thing called financial education, which is a very big subject. And the real key here is this: there's financial education for the poor, there's financial education for people who are middle class, and there's financial education for those who want to be rich. So today we're all, Garrett and I are going to be saying something that somebody may disturb you, because some of you are actually still poor people. You can make a lot of money and still be poor. You want to be poor, have a good time. I've been poor, I've been happy, and I've been middle class, and I've been happy, and I've been rich, but I've been happier. So today you're going to find out once again, if you're poor, what is financial education for you? If you're middle class, what's the best financial education for you? And then what is rich? And so the thing I really enjoyed about Garrett's story is that as a young guy, where were you growing up? And how old were you when you got the book, The Millionaire Next Door? Right, and just for your information, Millionaire Next Door was written by, I think, a PhD or something, and Stanley is his name. And it came out in '96, and I read the book, and a lot of people loved it. You know what I mean? And that's our conversation today. For a lot of people, Millionaire Next Door is a great book, but when I read it, I went, I'd never do this stuff. So for the middle class, if you like being middle class and you don't really like risk and all that stuff, and you love paying taxes, it's a great book. So I want you to hear that we're not trying to make fun of anything or any of the viewers or listeners. It's really important you know who you are. Like I said, I've been poor, and I was quite happy being poor. And I've been middle class, and I've been rich. But for me to change, I had to change whose advice I listened to. That's true. And when I read the book, I think it talked about, I don't know, it's been '96, and my book came out in '97. I go, oh, geez. So in '96, I read about it, and today I don't drive one Ferrari, I drive two Ferraris. Now, would Mr. Stanley recommend? And let me tell you something, I feel better in a Ferrari, It's a wonderful car, but so is a Toyota. So for most people, they should drive a Toyota Prius, right? Now, if it makes you happy, yes. But anyway, I have a friend who absolutely loves her Toyota Prius, And I may be Japanese, but I don't look good in Toyotas, I look better in Ferraris. This is what we're getting at here. You see, it's your values. So when you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, now you're struggling with Stanley's book about the millionaire next door. And how you became a millionaire was interesting. It was very easy in 1996 to become a millionaire just because the economy went like this in America. So you bought a house, let's say, when you're 25, for, let's say, $80,000, and by some years later, the house is now worth $1 million. And that's how you became rich. You were getting rich by being frugal and riding the U.S. economy up, investing in the stock market. It went up. But the problem is today it's not going this way. It's going this way. So Absolutely. That's why The Millionaire Next Door is still a good book, but you may be going this. So that's the point here. I want to be very clear. I'm not making fun of Dr. Stanley or anybody else who mentioned today. The point is what's inside of you. Are you happy with a Toyota Prius? Knock yourself out. I'm not. Okay, if you understand that point of it. Like, I've always had nice cars because I like nice cars. Love nice cars. And my first car was like a 1969 Corvette, and I graduated from college in 1969. So I was really happy, and I did other things to pay for the car. Now, some other people, it's Toyota Prius, is that correct? And for some people, the bus is fine. Yeah, I know people who are very happy because they take a bus. It just depends on you. So that's our story today. So please don't get upset if you think I'm making fun of people. Reiterate this. There's poor, middle class, and rich. And the cash flow game teaches people to be rich. And there's other people who don't want to be rich, they just want to be middle class, which is their choice. It matches their spirit. So here we are in 2015. This is what we're saying, guys. There's poor, middle class, and rich, and there's advice for poor people. A lot of people like being poor. And you want to be middle class, that's great advice for you. And you want to be rich, that's great advice for them. So what if I came to you, here's 2015, and said, Mr. Gunderson, I'm a financial planner. You know, I sell life insurance primarily. But, you know, the stock market goes on up on average 7%. So that's why you should invest for the long term. What would you say to me? This is 2015. And what if I said to you, look, but, you know, there's dollar cost averaging and, you know, it's over the long term. And, you know, you'll be a millionaire in 40 years. What would you say to that? It's great. You learn a lot of things in it, how to budget, and you learn about wills and trust and insurance. There's things that are very valuable in it. But they're selling you something. That's the whole point here. So if you want to be poor, it's a great plan. And the thing that I always cringe at, because it happened to me when I went to work for the Xerox Corporation, I go into my HR, human resource person, they sit me down and they say, now choose which mutual fund you want in your plan. I don't know one mutual fund from the other. Did you know the difference? And today the real subject is, do you want to be poor, middle class, and rich, and who do you listen to? So my point is, we're repeating, because repetition is how we learn, is there was this great book, The Millionaire Next Door, and it worked because the stock market was going up. This is Stanley. Like I said, my father bought a house, I think in 1967, it was $50,000, $1.2 million, $1.4 million a few years later. The trouble is he couldn't sell it because he had no place to go. So he was a net worth, no cash flow, and he lost his job. Book. The most obsolete idea is go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, and invest for the long term in the stock market. See, why would you save money when they're printing trillions of dollars? The gap between the 1% and 99% is massive. You see, it's not just money. You have to step back and look at the bigger picture. So what do you do? In every one of us is a poor person. There's still a poor person inside me. There's also a middle class person. The middle class person wants security. They want that steady paycheck. There's a rich person. And they're all inside of us except that it's not taught. You're taught to go to school, get a job, and get a paycheck. You're not taught how to get rich. If you're rich dad, poor dad, my rich dad refused to pay me. He said the paycheck was one of the most damaging things you could take in your life. He says the moment you take a paycheck, you're an employee. And that's the mindset. So my rich dad never paid me. He drove my poor dad, you know, government employee, nuts. You gotta pay people, you gotta pay people. And rich dad was not saying that the paycheck was bad. He says he didn't want to be a slave to money. So as an entrepreneur, you know, if rich dad folded, I just start another company. I don't need a paycheck. I don't need anybody to take care of me. If my government doesn't like me, I move to another country because they need entrepreneurs there. So the entrepreneur is not so much the business. The entrepreneur is really the mindset and the skill sets and the different set of rules. You see, I don't operate, small business does not operate in the same rules as big business. Entrepreneur is a mindset first, a skill set, and rules. And depending upon whether you're an employee or a small business, the rules are different. The mindsets are different. The skill sets are different. I'll just tell them the same thing that happened to me. You know, my last paycheck, I still remember it clearly. It was one of the worst and the best days of my life. And I was in Puerto Rico. I was working for Xerox. And my boss gave me my last, it wasn't a paycheck, it was a bonus check. I think it was about $30,000. Taxable, it's the only problem with that. So I got this check and I went, holy mackerel. You know what I mean? So I was excited, but I was also disturbed. And so this other guy comes up to me, his name was John. And John says to me, he says, you're going to be back. I said, why? He says, because you're going to fail. I looked at him and said, look, few expletive words. Because that's what he did. He left Xerox, failed, and he came back. And I said, look, you failed and you came back. But I'm going to fail and I'm never coming back. And that's the attitude. Do you know what I mean? If you say, well, if I fail, I'll go back to mommy and daddy, then that's what you'll do. So if you fail, that's when I became an entrepreneur because I had no money. I had no money for years. You know, I didn't have a paycheck. But that's what my rich dad encouraged me to do. He says, when you don't have this paycheck, you get hungrier, smarter, and it's a test of your character. Will you become a crook? Will you become dishonest? Will you cheat and steal? Or will you become a better human being? So really, that's the benefit of becoming an entrepreneur, is you really find out who you are. Don't tell people what you know. Keep them poor. But, unfortunately, the poor will always be amongst us. It starts up here. It's in their words, and the words become flesh. But when they say, I can't afford it or I can't do that, they become what they say. And I made so many people, I can't afford it. You think I'm made of money? My PhD dad, he says, what do you think I am, made of money? I can't afford that. And my rich dad would say, that's why he's poor. Poor people say, I can't afford it, I can't do that, I don't have time. Because it's an escape. It's an escape, you know what I mean? It's easy to say, I can't afford it. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I can't go to the gym. When you could go to the gym. No, I can't. Truth is, I'm just too lazy to go to the gym. A question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. See, when you say, I can't afford it, your mind shuts down, and you become what you say. But the thing is that we become creatures of our own habits. And until we break the habit, we don't change. Poverty is passed on. It's taught in your families. And middle class is taught in families. And so the people right now who are sitting at home, who are struggling financially or worried about money or unhappy, they may be making a lot of money, but unhappy with what they're doing, it was probably taught to you. Your super ego was taught, get a job, work hard, or you'll never be rich, or the rich are evil, or whatever. If you're poor, you'll always be poor. Just like most pro athletes, they make millions of dollars, and 65% are bankrupt 5 years later. It's because they come from poor families. Now you tell them that, they get very angry at you. Not, it's the rich fault, you guys ripped me off, and government ripped me off. But unfortunately, it's passed down genetically. That's the frightening thing. It's got to change what we teach our kids. So I remember raising my hand when I was 9 years old, talking to my fourth grade teacher, and I said, when am I going to learn about money? She says, the love of money is the root of all evil. We don't teach money at school. I said, why not? And he looked at me and says, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. Government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no, your job is to get a job. I said, but you get a job to earn money. He goes, no, you're supposed to just get a job. I went, no. Isn't the purpose of a job to earn money? He goes, you're correct. I said, so why don't I just learn about money? I can skip the job part, And he got flustered and he said, look, if you want to learn about money, why don't you ask your best friend's father about money? So why ask him? He says, because Mike's father is an entrepreneur.